3 generations into its Google partnership and use of Wear OS, Samsung hits a new stride with the Galaxy Watch 6. If 2021's Galaxy Watch 4 represented a new start not just for Samsung but also for Google's then-stagnant Wear OS platform, then the Galaxy Watch 6 feels like a deliverance of what both parties originally set out to do 2 years ago. Not only has Samsung's hardware been refined to present what is arguably the most confident-looking Galaxy Watch to date, but the much-needed refresh that was Wear OS 3 has now been refined into the even more impressive Wear OS 4. It's not a perfect pairing mind, and while there are plenty of things that can be improved going forward, the Galaxy Watch 6 is easily Samsung's best smartwatch since the Galaxy Watch 4. Here's our verdict. If people struggled to pinpoint exactly what was new about the Galaxy Watch 5, the same cannot be said for the Galaxy Watch 6, as you'll notice its biggest change the moment you turn it on. Gone are the bulky bezels of old, reduced by 30% alongside a 20% increase in screen size to fill the space. It's a tad difficult to gauge the full impact of this change unless you hold the Galaxy Watch 6 in your hands, but the larger screen just makes the watch feel more complete, just like the Apple Watch 7 did when it made greater use of its own available space. It's the same thing here, and everything benefits from the change. Watch faces look better, it's now easier to read the information on the watch, and there are fewer chances of accidentally touching something you didn't mean to on the screen. Plus, the display itself is as bright as ever, which makes it incredibly easy to read outdoors. While the screen has had a notable change over last year, the same cannot be said for the Watch SXS design, but that's no bad thing. The most recent Galaxy watches have been some of the best-looking smartwatches around, and that continues here with smooth surfaces all round and 2 low-key push buttons on the right-hand side that strictly adhere to the minimalist philosophy. The Samsung Galaxy Watch 6 and the Watch 6 Classic are the first smartwatches anywhere to pack Wear OS 4 out of the box, and while the full extent of this upgrade will reveal itself over the coming year, it is great to see just how far Wear OS has come. As previously mentioned, Wear OS 3 finally gave Google's operating system the overhaul it needed if it ever intended to genuinely stack up against Apple's far superior watchOS, and to Google's credit, the company now plays a more active role in improving Wear OS than it ever did before. For instance, Wear OS 4 starts on solid ground with the introduction of a dedicated WhatsApp app for smartwatches, which isn't currently available on the Apple Watch, new tiles for Spotify, and an overhaul to the Google Calendar Wear OS app. Compare this to a few years back and the future is looking a lot brighter for Wear OS and the Galaxy Watch 6 as a result. Of course, with this being a Samsung device, the Watch 6 has been optimized to work best with a Samsung phone in tow. You can use the Galaxy Watch 6 with any phone running Android 10 or higher, but you can only see the results for certain health metrics, more on that later, on a Samsung phone. It's not a gigantic problem but worth bearing in mind, and don't even think about pairing this with an iPhone, it just won't work. However, having some features be inaccessible to a handful of users speaks to a wider issue about the obtuse nature of Samsung's overarching ecosystem. For instance, when we tried switching on the watch's theater mode during a film, we were then prompted to run through a bunch of steps to set the whole thing up on our connected phone. It's hardly ideal and nowhere near as seamless as what Apple can offer. One thing that can't be leveled against the Galaxy Watch 6 though is any complaints about speed. Thanks to the new Exynos W930 chipset, everything from scrolling through menus to jumping into apps runs smoothly, and it helps to show off Wear OS in its best light, particularly with the digital rotating bezel.